The Louis Stokes, Mississippi Alliance for Minority Participation here at Jackson State University took into consideration harmful food groups as they pertain to humans. In conclusion, members Aspen, Treadwell, Kaliya, Jenkins, Breanna, Gregory, and Rony Akhter decided that meat was overall the most harmful food group to humans and therefore should be banned from the human diet. Throughout the video, we will break down the most important reasons as to why the conclusion to this study was made. Meat makes the world spin. Or does it? Millions of people all over the world depend on meat as a main source of protein. In fact, the biggest portion on people's plate is meat. However, have we really thought about the effects that meat has on us? Eating meat makes it hard to maintain a healthy body weight, carries the risk of foodborne illness, and not to mention it increases the risk of heart disease while decreasing a lifespan. Let's open the mind to understand why meat is harmful and needs to be taken out of our everyday meal plan.
Obesity. In the U.S., more than 2 in 3 adults are considered to be overweight or be obese. The number one cause of obesity is meat due to its high concentration in energy and fat content. In fact, after a team with the University of Adelaide School of Medicine conducted research into the overconsumption of meat as well as sugar, they concluded that, based on their findings, they believe that meat protein in human diet is also making a significant contribution to obesity. While this could lead to a fatal death, it can also increase the risk of a number of other chronic diseases such as cardiovascular disease, hypertension, diabetes, and certain types of cancer.
When meat is processed, it usually ends up containing a high proportion of fats and added salt. Now, while it might not lead directly to diabetes, the overeating of this meat, which includes these high sodium and salt, will. Even Frank P. Hu with the American Diabetes Association states that considerable evidence from long-term prospective cohort studies has demonstrated a diet high in red and processed meats are associated with increased risk of type 2 diabetes. By reducing the amount of meat we consume daily or just cutting it out completely, we lower our sodium intake and risk of diabetes and heart disease while having a positive effect on our health.
Now, we can't just think about the consumption of the meat. We have to take into consideration the animals that provide the meat. These animals are being fed poor quality feed. What the animal eats typically makes an impact on us when we eat the animal. Furthermore, farm animals are eating more grain like corn, wheat, and barley, and are also more protein rather than their ideal grass, straw, root crops, and our waste food. They are kept in large, crowded groups outside where their hygiene is not up to par, rather than living outside in a big open field. As the feed for the animals isn't ideal for them, the meat that we eat tends to be of poor quality. Animals contain more fatty meats, which means us humans will contain more fatty meats. This is such a big debate, so in fact that the Soil Association, which promotes more sustainable alternatives for our animals such as increased grazing and use of homegrown feed, states that, quote, how we feed our animals is rightly coming under great scrutiny because of the challenge of climate change and deteriorating human health, end quote. In order to ever consider meat as a healthier option, we must first make sure that the animals are being fed their healthiest options.
While these animals are being poorly treated and poorly fed, it does lead to a risk of infection and sickness, which then increases our risk of foodborne illness. Foodborne illnesses are usually infectious or toxic in nature and caused by bacteria, viruses, parasites, or chemical substances entering the body, most commonly through contaminated meat. The Meat Association states that most foodborne illness breakouts are a result of improper handling or contamination when meals are prepared. Sanitary food handling and improper cooking and refrigeration should prevent foodborne illnesses. After eating contaminated meat, most commonly through Salmonella or E. coli. People should experience symptoms such as fever, headache, nausea, vomiting, abdominal pain, and diarrhea. Even in most fatal cases, these illnesses could lead to miscarriage in pregnant women or death of newborn babies. While we could simply wash our meat and be more cautious when cooking, the easiest way to stay healthy is to cut meat out of the diet as a whole.
Yes, many different groups are harmful to humans, but our main problem as proven is meat. This is a number one ban and must be taken out of the human diet. The negative impact meat has on our health and well-being outweighs any possible effect meat has on our diet greatly. Yet, any of the harm meat causes could be avoided by one simple diet change. Transitioning to a more plant-based diet decreases heart disease, diabetes, obesity, and illnesses while increasing lifespans.